this is where our traumas come from. They don't need to be a big deal. They don't need to be a big thing that happened. It doesn't need to be I had a brain injury. It doesn't have to be. It can be.
Hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity. And I've got a question for you today. Don't kick my desk, me. I've got a question for you today. And that question is, have you tried to quit smoking? Have you tried to quit alcohol? Have you tried to quit just anything you might be addicted to? Well, my guest today is Meridee Hlokoff. Did I say that right?
Hlokoff. Very close.
Hlokoff. So close. Anyways, she is a woman whose story of addiction, relapse, and redemption is deeply personal, generational, and powerfully transformative. Starting cigarettes at just 11 years old, Meridee found herself caught in a family legacy where cancer was tragically common, both naturally occurring and through substances, and addiction even more so. But through pain, motherhood, and a relentless search for healing, she not only found a way out using a method many have never heard of, which is not hot, but cold laser therapy. And she has also turned her own healing into a passion-driven purpose. Today, she's helping others become true non-smokers, and she's here to share how it works, why it matters, and what we've been missing when it comes to recovery. So, Meridee, how are you doing today?
I'm super fantastic. Thank you. And thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. I look forward to today's conversation.
Well, it is an honor and a pleasure to have you on. And I mean, we're going to learn a whole bunch about cold laser therapy because that is something that I've heard a little bit about. And I was like, it sounds a little woo-woo for me. And so I was like, I also can't afford it. So why don't you give us a little bit real quick, what is cold laser therapy? But then how do we dive into your background? Because starting at 11 years old for cigarettes, I mean, I didn't start till probably 16, and that still sucked.
Yeah, definitely. So the basics behind what I do is pretty simple. So to give you guys that, I will do that. And then I think we have to kind of dig into more of the addiction side to really understand how and what I do works. So cold laser therapy is basically the new trending thing that everybody's talking about, the red light therapy. Okay. It's been around for about 50 years. But cold laser therapy is actually the LED light and low level radiation. And the combination of the two used on specific points, very directed, can create amazing outcomes within our body. We are using natural, holistic, basically, we use your body to give itself the solution. It is an amazing thing, and it works because it's your body.
I love that. It's kind of like having someone walk with you through an experience, and they've been through the experience, so they know what they're doing, but it's kind of weird because you're essentially introducing a new element to the body. So how does the body really man, I just want to dive into that, but I also want to get your backstory. Yeah, it's so many questions.
Well, okay, so let's start with my backstory, and then we'll get into the rest of it.
All right.
So the backstory is I have a sister who is 13 months older than me. And so when you have an older sibling, you guys all probably know that you do what the older one does. You just do. It's what we do. My sister had friends and they were typically older than her. So she started smoking. And then one day she was we were in her room and I asked, can I try that? And she was like, sure. And so then she gave me a puff and I just kind of did what a lot of people do. Just no inhaling, just in my mouth and back out again. And after doing that a couple times, I was like, it's gross. And she's like, you're not doing it right. And I was like, how do you do it right? And so she's like, put it in your mouth. So I took a puff. And then as I pulled the cigarette out of my mouth, she punched me in the stomach and I went, and she's like, that's how you do it. And there started the practice of smoking. So smoking is so much like so many other things. We don't like our first taste of a cigarette. We don't like our first taste of alcohol. We don't like our first taste of coffee. And it's because typically they are relatively toxic.
Yeah.
So for me, of course, I didn't enjoy it, but everyone else was doing it. So why wouldn't I? My parents smoked. Now my sister's smoking, all of our friends smoked, all of my parents' friends smoked. Like, we're talking early 80s. So my journey just kind of started there. And then I found that, like, I mean, I find all of us children, anytime we start to think, our deepest trauma is, I am not enough. So anytime we start thinking that you're not enough and you start thinking of that, it's, well, how can I basically stick a middle finger up to my family or to the person who's making me feel like I'm not enough?
Mm-hmm.
And a way to do that is to do things they don't want you to do. And how many times have your parents said to you, don't smoke? It's not good for you. I see it different now because with my own kids, I was like, the reason I don't want you to smoke is because I don't want you to ever have to go through what I went through to have to stop.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the process of smoking. It's about the process of having to give up an addiction of any kind.
Yeah.
And we all have trauma, and addiction is really just that's the medicine we're feeding the trauma. Because the trauma is the thing we don't want to feel. We don't want to deal with. We want to escape from that.
Mm-hmm.
And different outlets to do so, whether it's alcohol, drugs, sex, love, you name it, it's out there. And so we do it. Social media, porn, like literally there is not many people who are not addicted to something. And if they aren't addicted to something, it's because they have been addicted to something and have worked their way out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of what we call dry drinking. So where one person can go from, being sober,
Mm-hmm.
but you're still acting out your addiction because you're still not dealing with the trauma that initiated it in the first place. So my backstory is that there was a lot of trauma in my childhood, and to avoid it, I could smoke. And when my parents would come, at me, and basically I felt like I was sitting out in a puddle, that was my middle finger to everybody. I had nothing except a cigarette, and everyone else could piss off while I smoked my cigarette. So then, you start to work on yourself. And I had a guy that I was dating, and he was like probably one of the nicest men I had ever dated. And he was really lovely, even about the fact that I stunk. I would go have a cigarette and then come back in, and I'd go to give him a kiss or whatever. And he'd just be like, yeah and no. And so I found it was gross. And I had tried quitting multiple times. I quit when I was, I want to say 19, maybe 20, when I got pregnant. I stayed quit until my divorce. And then when I got divorced, I started smoking again. I smoked for 3 years during a crazy toxic relationship. And then I moved into that relationship where I realized, okay, it's time for me to stop now. I was probably 28. And I was like, I need to stop. And actually, you know what? I think I might have been around closer to 25. But anyway, so I knew I needed to stop dating this gentleman who didn't smoke, made it even that much more apparent and all the things. And then one day I wrote on my Facebook, I need help. I have tried everything. I had tried the patch, the pills, the gums. The pills made me so nauseous I couldn't function. The gums left blisters on my skin. The patches left blisters on my skin. The gums tasted like crap. Like, it just was an ongoing, nothing worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of my friends said, you got to go try cold laser therapy. And I was like, okay, tell me more. And underneath that, her friend had said, how can you tell anyone how to quit smoking when you're still smoking? And I was like, okay, I want to talk to her. And she had written right underneath that herself, I'm smoking because I chose to, not because what I did didn't work. And I was like, well, that's an interesting perspective. So her and I hopped on the phone. We had a conversation, and she said, like, it was the most amazing thing I ever did. And if I choose to quit smoking again, that's the road I'm going to go. At the time, I wasn't conscious enough, aware enough, or doing enough of the work on myself to understand that she wasn't ready to start dealing with the trauma in her life. It was easier for her to smoke and continue in the life that she was in. So I did the treatment, and it was like a magical cure. It was wild. Just the most exciting thing. Like, I drove away from this place and just forgot to smoke. And so it was amazing. 5 years I didn't smoke. Nobody around, even when people around me smoked, it didn't bother me. Like, nobody bothered me with it. And I would see people smoking. I'd be like, hey, if you ever want to quit, I tried this amazing thing. I can get you their contact info. Like, I was her biggest fan. And then 5 years later, I was having a barbecue in my backyard, and everybody was smoking. I just grabbed one. I took a puff. It tasted terrible. It smelled terrible. It felt terrible. And I continued to do it. So that kind of started it again. I only smoked for 3 weeks because I was like, this is gross. I found I could get out of bed. I was really lazy. I wasn't going to the gym. I literally, like, my life basically came to a stop, and I just started smoking. So I was like, I'm going back down. So I went back down. I went to a concert, and on my way home, I stopped. I had a treatment with this lady, and she had basically been pushed into forced retirement. And I was like, well, I would like to do this. And so that started my journey.
Wow.
And it kind of evolved from there. And now 14 years later, actually a couple last week, 14 years later, I am where I am now. And we have 10 locations currently. And our packages now range from, like, yeah, if you want to quit smoking, I can help you. If you want to stop porn, I can help you. If you want to stop heavy addictions like opiates or methamphetamines or any of those things, I can help you. But we have to be willing to understand addiction in order for us to be able to get into why people behave the way that they do, so that we can figure out how we heal the trauma that's underneath the addiction.
Oh, wow. That is one heck of a story. And might I say, like, it resonates with me a lot because I've quit smoking a couple of times and I still right here, and this is actually my last pod. So once it's like gone, I'm done, because I have very similar things, and vaping is supposed to be like healthier and all this other stuff, but we'll dive into that here in just a little bit. So with the first bit, you were so young and you literally got a punch in the gut for it. Like, ouch. And
do you not have siblings? Because I feel like that was like relatively normal for your sister to like sister or brother. Like the fights were real.
Me and my sisters, we didn't really fight too much. Like we got into some scuffles, but we kind of just left each other alone. For the most part, we didn't really like each other until we got out of high school, and then it was like, oh hey, we're like friendly, but it's still like not necessarily friends.
My sister and I are incredibly close.
Mm-hmm.
We've had our ups, we've had our downs, we've had massive blowouts, we've had small moments of, you know what, I just need some space from you right now. I think that kind of comes along with being really close to someone.
Yeah.
She has seen the ugliest sides of me, and I have seen the ugliest sides of her. We've had to work through a lot to get to a place, but the one thing that like we always had was each other.
Mm-hmm.
When there wasn't anybody else for us, we always had each other. And when, one of us was getting beaten or whatever it was in our childhood, the other person was there for them. We fought a ton, and trust me, there were moments where I was like, I hate you. And I'm sure she felt like she said she felt the same, but at the same time, her role was a lot more parenting, even though she was only 13 months older than me.
Mm-hmm.
So like my sister has been a parent since she was 13, 14, 15 months old. Like she has never just been a person. She's always been a parent. So we had a lot, like when it came to like working through mom trauma, I had to work through like my mother, and then I had to start working through my sister. And so there's just so many different pieces to all of, like, people are complex. Humans are complex. So there's so many things that we had to work through. And like I said, my sister and I are as close as you probably could get. My kids are the same. Like they have each other's back. No one gets in between them. Like, and it's wonderful, but also it has its impacts as well. Like my daughter can't have a boyfriend because the guys that she would want to date are her brother's age, and then they're friends of his, and they know that if they go near her, they're dead. And like there's all these intricacies to us in our relationships. And I feel like as we learn to navigate and heal who we are as humans, that piece starts to evolve.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're not perfect, and there's a lot of broken parts. But if you can have open, hard conversations and say what you need to say without somebody immediately getting defensive and start screaming at you, and instead be like, okay, so I can own my part in that. And now here's my feelings about all of it. And here's my reasoning for all of it, et cetera, et cetera. There's a place of healing. And then there's a lot less need for addiction.
Yeah, for sure. And I love how you're talking about once you actually get to the root of addiction, or the root of your traumas, you can actually take addiction, and it's really easy. Well, not easy, but you know what I mean. It's easier to go like, hey, we'll get rid of it for good. But quick question. So during our parallels, whenever you asked your sister for a cigarette, because you were curious, I also did the same, but not with my sister. It was a friend, and my brain was like, well, if it's so bad, then why do so many people do it? I have to experience it myself, you know? And so,
Yep.
same thing. It was nasty. I hated it. And eventually, before I knew it, it was like, I have to have one. So, did you ever have resentments towards your sister in that regard?
I wouldn't say for the smoking, no, because it was like, it was the medicine that I fed myself to help me go through my traumas. So, no. Also, I've always kind of been a person who I can take responsibility. I asked for that. Now, as an adult, like when people are, like for example, somebody quits drinking and we go to a party. If an alcoholic asked you for a drink, would you say, yeah, for sure, why not?
Mm-mm.
No, but also the alcoholic is the one who's responsible for their outcome, not you.
Yeah.
You do get a choice right in that moment, but I can't put blame on her for her smoking. The reason that we were both curious about it is because our parents smoked and because everyone around us smoked. So why wouldn't we smoke?
Yep.
So there's definitely like, I wonder why. I wish I hadn't gone down that road, but that's also, we don't learn. A lot of people don't learn from other people's mistakes. I am one person who I will say I watched my sister make mistakes, like having a baby in your bed, that then it's impossible to get that baby out of your bed. I watched her make mistakes like that, and I saw the struggles she would go through. And I remember in those moments being like, I never want to go through what she's going through right now, because that looks like hell. And so I would just make conscious choices after that to not do the things that I saw in people. And it wasn't just her, it was in my parents, it was in my friends, it was around me. If I saw someone suffering, I'd be like, okay, so I'm going to find every way to not suffer through whatever it is that these people are suffering through. And I feel like smoking was just the one that I could run from.
Mm.
And like for me, I'm sure for you, if you really sat with this, every time you want a puff of your vape, if you ask yourself, like, why?
Yeah.
Right? Because for me, I don't smoke. I don't drink.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do drugs. I don't smoke marijuana. Like I clean. Okay. But this is all part of a journey in sobriety and a journey to really understanding myself. And recently I've had to let a friendship go. And in that comes a lot of grief. And one of the things that I noticed in the grief was, I'd really love to smoke a joint right now. And when that thought comes, my brain, I instantly ask myself, okay, so what am I trying to avoid right now?
Yeah.
This deep grief of losing someone that I thought was important to me and the experience. And now it's so hard to feel all of that I think I'd rather just go smoke a joint and not feel anything at all. But the crazy part is every time you go and smoke that cigarette, go smoke that joint, have that drink, do that line. Every time you do it, all you're doing is postponing your pain. You're just procrastinating. You're pushing it away for now because it's going to come back and slap you in the face later. I'm tired of being slapped in the face, let me tell you.
Oh man, I never really thought about it that way, and that's really right. But you were saying that you felt like you could run away from the smoking. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, no, the smoking was the thing that I ran to. I ran away from all of my pain by running to a smoke, just because no matter what anybody did, you couldn't take my cigarette from me.
Yeah.
It was mine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the same as an alcoholic will tell you, well, my drink is mine.
Mm-hmm.
You can take as many bottles as you want and dump them down the toilet. I'm going to go buy another.
Yeah.
Right? It's a choice I'm making, and that was mine. That was mine to hold. That was mine, and nobody could take it from me. And go ahead, try. I'll just light another one. Mm-hmm. And then you can take that one, and I'll light another one. And you take my whole pack, and I'm going to go buy another pack. Like, you cannot take it from me. Mm-hmm. I will find a way. You can't sit with me 24/7, so I will find a way. So I really had to understand, because I went from smoking cigarettes, and I quit. And then I also broke my neck when I was 16. So I've had chronic migraines. And those were another level. And I started using marijuana many years after I quit smoking for pain management, because it really does assist in that. Mm-hmm. And then it very quickly turned to abuse before, right? Like soon you're abusing it, because now I wouldn't have even smoked cigarettes the way that I smoked marijuana at times.
Whoa.
So you do have to really look at, what are you covering up? Because if you go from one to another to something else, like you're always running from something.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to, is I'm running from something by running to something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's not comfortable. It's not good for you. It's not healthy. And it causes nothing but issues.
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to say it. It procrastinates your pain, because it's all going to come back to you eventually. No matter what you do, it's going to come back. I'm tired of procrastinating. I'm tired of being smacked in the face by the universe because I didn't listen the first.
So, since you were tired of procrastinating, you found something that worked really well the first time. So, and then it worked for as long as it did until you fell back into it, right? And
I mean, it's just like a heroin addict or an alcoholic, right? You wouldn't give an alcoholic one more drink. You wouldn't be out with a cocaine addict and they're like, oh, tonight I'm just going to do one line after being sober for 10 years. You would not encourage them. You'd be like, this is a no.
Yeah,
right?
You should.
This is a no. You're not doing it. Let's go find something else. And then for me, because of all the work I've done, I would sit down and be like, what are you trying to avoid?
Yeah.
What's going on in your life that you're trying to run from it in this moment? Because if you start with one line, that one line turns into another, into another, into another, and you're right back down the road you started, and you're off of the path you've been on.
Yeah. And next thing you know, an 8-ball's gone, and so on and so forth. And it's just not a fun time for everyone. Like,
no.
And that's interesting that you had mentioned that, because whenever people fall into addiction, usually if whatever their vice is isn't strong enough, they'll go on to something else, you know?
Yes.
So
yeah.
You were able to somewhat mitigate that, right? How did you do that?
Well, it's not that there wasn't times that I didn't want something bigger than marijuana, for sure. I would, you'd start to smoke copious amounts of marijuana and then be like, this isn't doing anything for me anymore. But I knew there was something deeper for me to look at. And eventually it was like I said, the universe smacked me in the face and was like, you need to be doing the work on you. And it just kind of led me down this path. And it started in 2005 with the book, The Secret.
Ooh, okay.
And that like perpetuated my entire journey in a completely different direction, because there was this moment in that, in the movie that she made, because she made the movie first, then wrote the book. And when she made the movie, there's a piece in it where she has this woman who's getting out of bed late and then gets up and stubs her toe and then puts on her nylons and puts a hole in them. And her whole day just perpetuates like one horrible thing after another. And it's not horrible. Like, she made it so it was realistic. And I remember seeing this part of the show and being like, oh my God, it's me. Oh, that's me. That's my life. Like, it starts wrong and it ends wrong. And there is no happy medium. And I'm just always miserable. And then it starts talking about how it's the choice that you're making in your brain to stay going down that path, because what you think you attract. And so this was like I said, this was 20 years ago when this whole idea started. And it was called The Secret because nobody understood what it was. They didn't understand that, vibration, frequency, and your brain is vibrating out at a frequency and you're attracting that. And so then I started working on this whole, well, literally, I am just a head full of negativity. There is nothing positive in this head at all. And I started working towards that. And it took me a year to get to 50% positive thoughts by taking every negative thought I had and replacing it with a positive one. So I'd start having this negative thought and I'd be like, nope. And I'd just take the opposite of whatever I was thinking. And that's what I would start thinking about. And after a year, all of a sudden it was 50-50. The minute you're at 50-50, it's a game changer. It is so easy. You're like habitual in changing that pattern, right? Mm-hmm. So it just would automatically go to a positive thought. And then it started to like almost become this thing where people were like, you're the most positive person I've ever met. And what I didn't realize is that I had taken the negative side of myself and like shoved her into a cave and told her to shut up and never come out again. Mm-hmm. And you cannot live like that, because all you're doing is suppressing parts of yourself. We need our dark, we need our light. So it took me a really long time of like maneuvering my life to find a happy medium of accepting that I also have dark and I'm a positive person. And then that led into me really doing a lot of work on myself. And I'm going to say with the last 5 years, I've had the most growth, but the last, leaps and bounds in the last year and in who I am and things like that. And a lot of it comes when I'm helping other people. I'm learning so much about myself.
Oh, yeah. And I really, really love how you highlighted that we have to acknowledge and actually work with the dark parts of ourselves. Because it's like I can be a total like d-bag, like, you know,
Yeah.
it is totally within my limits. I can be the biggest a-hole you'll ever know or ever meet, but I choose not to do that. And
Yes.
that's the thing, though, is that I can sit there and I can say that side of me is not good for most situations. It is definitely vital for certain situations, though. You know,
Yeah.
that is kind of like, because it's a protector. It's a protector aspect.
Yes.
So,
Yes. It has kept you alive, which is why we have it
mm-hmm.
in general. And if you go back even a couple hundred years, it literally kept you alive.
Yep.
We don't need that piece to keep us alive anymore.
Mm-mm.
That's why this evolution is happening, is because we don't need to have that anymore. Our, you know, we had this evolution into, from like protecting ourselves into meeting energy. So if I came at you and I'm being a total D-bag, you're going to meet my energy by being a D-bag.
Yeah.
Right. So now we're just a bunch of D-bags headbutting each other. Well, what are we going to accomplish there?
Nothing.
Not a whole hell of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me in that, I had to start working, because I'm very much the type of person who would just meet your energy. And in fact, I'd be like, you want to show me that? Let me show you how much higher I can go than you. Right. And then and what ends up as the result? Again, nothing good.
Yeah.
Giant explosion of shit.
Yeah.
And so in my work, I have had to learn not to meet energy. And in fact, when I'm feeling like I want to hate someone,
Mm-hmm.
I'm drinking poison and waiting for them to die.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, what? Like, how is that going to benefit me at all? I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm hurt, I'm not, and the anger is literally just the easiest feeling for us to feel over top of what's actually happening underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if I'm feeling these things, I need to dig into the vulnerable side of myself and find out what's actually going on, because she needs something.
Mm-hmm.
Not getting that need met, which is why she's acting the way she is. So if I hear it, I can acknowledge it, and then I can ask, okay, what need am I not having met, and how can I meet that need? Because it's not about anyone else meeting my needs. I need to meet them.
Ooh.
And so all of this work has to come into our addictions, because every one of us have our addictions, and our addictions are all stemmed from this crap that was in our life.
Mm-hmm.
And so the evolution of what we become and coming out of our addiction is this. Because if we just stop the substance, you're not stopping anything at all. You're what we call dry drunking.
Yep. Yeah.
Right? Like, you are literally just continuing the behavior without using a substance.
Yep. And well, I don't have to tell you this little secret, but some of the audience members might need to know this little secret. I'd rather deal with a wet drunk than a dry drunk, because then at least I have the alcohol to blame it on, you know?
Yep.
So.
And that's the excuse a lot of people will use.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there's so many pieces to it, because you need to dig into how sick it's going to make you. Alcohol is a class 1 carcinogen. Whoa. And it is classified as such beside asbestos. So if I gave you a liquid bottle of asbestos and said, here, drink this, you'd look at me like I was nuts. But if I give you alcohol, you're like, yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
So we really need to look at how things have been propagated to us. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they've been given to us as like, oh, alcohol means a good time. No, it doesn't. It means a hangover. It means you're acting out. It means you're doing stupid things that you would never do if you were sober.
Yeah.
That being said, I have to admit that I do not need alcohol to do stupid things. I fall off my dirt bike. I do crazy stuff. I do not need alcohol to do any of the things, but that's because I have come to a place where I completely accept all of myself.
Ooh, I like that, because I was just about to say, first of all, you got to figure out what you need and how you need it. But then you have the whole aspect of, you just got to be you, right? And so many of us have not learned how to express ourselves, how to ask for the things that we need from other people. So if we can't ask other people what we need, how can we expect ourselves to provide for ourselves for the things that we need? So how did you do it?
Mine was just a lot of work. I kept picking D-bags, first of all, because my dad was kind of one. And so again, like, this stuff all goes so much deeper than the surface level that we put it at. You know, like, yeah, I dated jerks.
Yeah.
Because I thought I could change them. And because my dad was one. And you know what I mean? So there's like all these different levels. But if you go to the core of it, and the core of every single one of us I'm not good enough for what there actually is out there. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not fit enough. I'm not funny enough. I'm just not good enough for what I think I could deserve. So I'm going to take the next best thing and I'm going to make him good enough. But if I'm not, how am I going to get anybody else good enough? Because I attract what I am. Right?
Yeah.
So for me, it came down to really looking, everything has been like this internal understanding. So the biggest thing, and my kids, the beauty of it is that my kids have taken this, is I kept hearing this repeated saying and it drove me crazy because I'd be like, okay, I get it, but I never actually got it. And what that saying is the outside is a direct reflection of what's going on inside. Right? We all hear that. We're like, I don't know how you can say that because that guy's a jerk. And then I started doing some Tony Robbins work. And then I started going even deeper than that. And in it, some of Tony's questions were like, well, if you take what you've just said and spin it completely around, you can get there by doing it in these 3 different steps. Huh. But let's just skip the steps because the ultimate is the final step, which is turn it around. Because if you call someone a jerk, what are they doing that's triggering you? Because they didn't piss you off. They're not making you angry. You are the angry one. Why are you angry? Where has this been in your past? Who have you seen allow it to happen when you've chosen for it not to happen? Or how did you act like a jerk that now this person is acting like a jerk and you want to act like a jerk back, but you're not. So now you're triggered by them. Or, so I really had to start looking at those things because that person they don't give a shit about you. This isn't about you. It's about them. It's just like the only person that I'm triggered by is me, but I'm seeing you reflect it back to me. You're showing me a side of myself that I don't like. And the hardest thing to do is look in the mirror and say, oh my God, I'm ugly. And I don't mean physically. I don't mean that. I mean, look in the mirror at your own behavior and say, what the hell is wrong with me? I am ugly. I am mean. I am nasty. And I don't want to be any of those things anymore. And then start to change the behavior because everyone else starts doing this and they start pointing fingers. You. What I've learned about this is that there may be one finger pointing up, but there are 3 pointing back at you because you're the one to blame. Ooh. So my children have taken this on, and my son has had multiple things. He has ADD, and one of the things that our doctor came to us and said was, just so you know, the majority of the undiagnosed ADD and ADHD people out there have addiction. And it's because of the fact that you only feel normalized when you're taking a substance. So, for example, my son said that he would do cocaine. Yeah, I see that. My son said that he would do cocaine and he didn't feel anything at all. Yep. He just get normal. And I was like, and my doctor said that's because when you're operating on a level of cocaine, you're at the level of your mom sober. He said, and then if your mom did cocaine, she'd be up here because that's where you sit all the time. So when you're sober, you're like a cocaine addict or somebody on cocaine. And when you're on cocaine, you act like somebody who's normal because you guys have the opposite effect. So for a lot of the addicts out there, they started stimulants because they didn't know how to manage their ADD or ADHD. And that in itself became traumatic because if you were a kid with ADD or ADHD, no one else knew how to manage you either. And then you were treated badly and you were shunned and you were all these things. And there's more trauma coming up right there where you guys just didn't get what you needed. And all of our traumas are unmet needs and then ways that we didn't get loved. And when we're doing something, some of the things that I go and I talk to people and I see them and I see people acting out, the first thing you need to understand when someone is lashing out at you, they're coming from any time actually, when anyone is talking to you, they are coming from one of 2 places. Okay. They are either coming from love or they are coming from a place of wanting to be loved. So if someone is acting out and treating you badly, it's because they're desperately looking for love and they don't feel worthy of it in the moment. So how can you go to them and say, look, I can see that you're clearly upset and there's some things you're going through. How can I support you in this way? People are not going to continue to lash out. They're going to come down 10 levels and they're going to sit with you and be like, I don't even actually know. Yeah. I'm angry. And then if you ask a bunch of questions, you can dig into why they're angry, what's triggering them, what has set them off, why are they feeling the way they're feeling, and it can move from there. But if I went and met your energy of F you, nobody's digging into anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very true. And I love how you were able to actually define what traumas and the hurts are, because I haven't heard them put that way. You said that traumas were the ways that you weren't loved, correct?
Yeah, the ways that your needs were not met.
Oh man, holy
And
crap.
it doesn't need to be traumatic. And that's
Yeah.
the crazy part about it. A baby can feel trauma
Mm,
by a parent stepping in the sun. So imagine that a baby's laying in the sun, enjoying the sun, and then a parent steps in that sun and the sun is no longer on their body and they feel cold. That can be traumatic.
mm,
It's in the way that we interpret it with what we have in our minds and how developed our brains are. But essentially, the sun gives you a feeling of love. Think about it. When it hits your skin, it's like, oh, yeah, that's what I need. And when it's taken away or it's a gray sky, our moods are very different.
mm-hmm.
So let's talk about how that affects you when someone is coming at you versus coming to you.
Yeah.
Hey, I really need to talk to you because, I feel like the way we spoke earlier didn't feel good to me. Versus, you know what, you're being a little asshole and you're going to your room. Like your needs didn't get met in that moment.
Yeah.
You lashing out or acting the way you were because you needed love. And as a child, we do not know how to communicate that.
Mm-mm.
So we turned it into trauma in our heads. We were bad. We're not good enough. We got sent to our rooms. And the crappiest part about it all is that our parents talk about unconditional love, but most of us do not know how to make it work. And if you think about how your parents raised you, for me, for sure, I felt loved when I behaved the way I was supposed to and unloved when I did not.
Yeah.
When I wasn't behaving the way they wanted me to behave, the love was withdrawn immediately. It was anger, it was frustration, it was punishment, it was all of those things. Whereas if I was behaving perfectly, I barely even got acknowledged. Because you're doing what you're supposed to. That's been expected of you. You're supposed to show up that way. So this is where our traumas come from. They don't need to be a big deal. They don't need to be a big thing that happened. It doesn't need to be I had a brain injury. It doesn't have to be. It can be. It doesn't have to be. And so essentially it is your need in that moment not being met, and then the way that us as underdeveloped brains interpret that.
I really like that because that really does throw everything back on self, but the beautiful part is I can do something about that, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh man, and you really nailed it on the head whenever you said it's how we interpret it, because that's the thing that I still misinterpret messages all the time. Like, tone does not reflect in text message very well. So
Yeah.
I have gotten into either big arguments or big trouble because either I send a message that was worded what I thought was okay, but was not in the other person's eyes, and vice versa. And it just communication is the final frontier, I guess.
It's the cornerstone of everything we do.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It is.
And so, in a sense, you're saying that you had to establish communication within yourself.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, because you need to figure out what you need. And the best part about this, because I felt like this was the most difficult challenge. What do I need? I don't know.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to know? What I learned was what I don't want showed me what I do. So these experiences that we call negative will come to you. And when they do, this is an opportunity to go, oh, I don't like that. So the opposite of that must be what I do like. Right? And then you have an opportunity to see, okay, so this is what I want, and this is what I don't want. So we can get rid of what we don't want and focus on the things we do. But how are you going to know what you need or want if you're not actually digging into those things as they happen? Oh, you just upset me. Okay, but why did you upset me? What's going on with what upset me? What would I have needed in that moment? And for me too, I do a lot of meditation, or even just in the moment, oh, there's something. And then I'll follow the sensation of my body and I will talk to whoever it is or whatever it is inside of myself. And it's called internal family systems. I'll talk to whoever it is or whatever it is that's inside me that is seeking my attention. That conversation. So like I said to you earlier, I stuffed my negative and put her in a cave. And one day I had to go find her. And she was wet and dirty and stuck in this miserable cave where she was not allowed to speak. She was not allowed to be involved in anything. but it didn't prevent her from being in the back of my mind. It didn't prevent her from still being there, but she was being punished all the time. Yeah. So then when she started to come, when I was experiencing something, I could ask her, what would you have needed in this moment back then? You know, like something else is coming up here. So you get quiet with yourself, you follow the sensation, and it'll take you to a place where, you know, one that just recently came up, because I don't remember a ton of my childhood. It's a lot I've blocked out. And in that, I got to this place where this little girl, I was probably about 3, had gotten a new dress from my grandma. And I was like running around in my new dress all pretty, and look at me, and I'm so pretty. And one of my mom's friends was like, oh my God, she's so cute, and blah, blah, blah. You should put her in modeling. And she was just going off about how adorable I was and all the things. And my mom turned around and said, okay, enough. Don't let it go to your head. Sit down and shut up. And like took this little 3-year-old from like the most joyous place into nothingness. I'm not enough, even when I look pretty, even when I'm doing the right things, even when I'm, you know, all I was doing was dancing around being a pretty little girl. She got shut down so hard. And I can't just put that all on my mom. Like I can, but I can't. I can also take responsibility for the fact that she just wanted that kid to sit down, be quiet. And I took it as I'm not enough, or I'm too much, so I better sit down and shut up. And so there's that piece of, yeah, sure, your parent did something to you, but how can you take the responsibility of that back for yourself? Because with my kids, we have crazy open communication. And I am very aware that like one of my purposes as a parent is to traumatize my children so they can work through that. And so when certain traumas surface, I'm like, let's have these conversations.
Yeah.
And my daughter, at one point, we were having an argument, and it was something I didn't even know I did. And she said something to me, and I was like, me, and I like literally like that. And she was like, see, you mock me. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, you mock me. And then she explained it to me, and I was like, oh my God, I had no idea that I was doing what I'm doing. Wow. And she's like, what? And I was like, I didn't even realize I had just done that to you. And she's like, what? And I was like, completely unconscious. So I'm going to tell you, I am incredibly sorry that I did that to you. I had no idea, and I will do better moving forward. So in our family, me and my kids have an agreement. We don't say, okay, I'm sorry. We say, I'm sorry for my behavior, and I'm going to do my best to not act like that the next time. Because I'm sorry doesn't mean anything, especially when you don't mean it. But if you can see what you've done, you can say, I'm sorry, to own it, and then you can tell them how you're going to try to change your behavior. There was also another part with my daughter, and she said to me, you give me the silent treatment whenever you get mad at me. And I was like, I am not giving you the silent treatment. And she's like, you do though. And I was like, can I explain? Because I'm not just giving you silent treatment. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, if I said the thoughts that were going on inside of my head, that would be traumatic for you. You wouldn't deserve the things that are going on inside of my head. I would be so mean to you right now. I need to shut up and put myself in a timeout. So I need to shut up. I can be in the same room as you, and I can even feel my anger, but I need to sit, because if I open my mouth right now, the things that are going to come out are not nice. Yeah. So instead, I'm not giving you the silent treatment. I'm actually giving myself the silent treatment and shutting the noisy person inside up. Yeah. My daughter was like, oh my God, I had no idea. So if you understand, and you don't, I wouldn't tell you, like, I try not to gaslight my kids and be like, that wasn't your experience. I'm sorry that was your experience. I'm sorry that you felt like I was silent, giving you the silent treatment, but I was actually giving myself the silent treatment because the words inside of me were not nice. And if I opened my mouth, they were going to come out. And then my daughter was like, oh my God, that explains so much about our childhood. It explains so much about how I felt. It doesn't mean that I'm taking away from her experience, but I know when I understand something better, I can then move through it better. Right? If I understand why you did something, it doesn't mean there's an excuse, especially when you can own it, take responsibility for it, and say, I'll be better for it. That's the whole point of it. It's not so that I can tell you, oh, okay, well, I did this, but. Because the minute someone says to you, I'm sorry, but. Yeah. I stop listening, because you're not actually sorry. You just wanted to let me know all the reasons you acted the way you did. How about I take responsibility? I'm sorry that you felt the way that you felt. And I'm going to act better in these ways if I can. And if I don't, I would love for you to tell me that I'm not doing as I promised you I would do. And I will do my best to do better. I'm not a perfect human being. In fact, I am a human being. And we're spirits here having a human experience. So I am having that very real human experience. And I'm sorry for that. But I do want to be better. And so that is super important in my relationship with my kids. And my kids are 22 and 23. So it's not like they're young little kids, but we did start this when they were about 10.
Oh. Huh.
So that we could have this open communication, so that my kids were allowed to stomp up the stairs. And I remember being in so much trouble if I did that. But my kids, you're allowed to stomp up the stairs, but you slam that door, you're damaging a door frame, you're doing a whole bunch of things. So you slam the door, I'm coming up and your door's coming off the hinges, and now you have no privacy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's consequences for your actions, but also please express the way you feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And we can express the way we feel in very respectful ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that that's kind of the crux of addiction, of not knowing how to express, how to communicate. And also that whole I'm sorry aspect is definitely something that keeps a lot of people in addiction, because no one else will believe them even if they mean it from the bottom of their heart, you know. So
but that's also because they don't believe themselves. Right? Yeah. Like when we're projecting onto other people, like if you say I don't trust you, well, you shouldn't have brought that person in your life, and the reason you don't trust them is because you don't trust you. Ooh. Because you have let you down so many times, right? And that's when I say to people, when I hear them say, well, I don't trust this person, I'm like, okay, so let's look at what it is about you that you don't trust. What did they do? And then, they'll be like, oh, well, they spoke about me behind my back. And I'm like, so you've never spoken about someone behind their back, hey? And they're like, well, yeah, but. I'm like, there's no buts here. Did you speak about someone behind their back? Yeah. Okay. Period. So can you just see that you don't like that they do it? So you need to stop doing it as well. That means never speaking about someone behind their back. Or if you're so uncomfortable and you keep saying, because I hear this all the time, well, I'd say it right to their face. Okay. Then only say it if that person was standing right in front of you. Because if that person is standing right in front of you and you would say it, and they're in the group that you're going to say it to, then say it right to their face, and the group doesn't need to be around.
Yeah.
Right. I also understand there's a piece of us that some of us need to verbally, like I process verbally. If I sit and overthink, I feel like I sit spiraling in the same train of thought without actually processing anything at all, because I just get stuck there. Whereas when I verbally process it to someone, they then have some feedback from me that I can take and adjust the train of thought, that now it's a different circle, right? And then we keep verbalizing and keep moving through to process. In my head, I don't have that feedback from anyone else. So I'm literally just spiraling in a circle. So I do need to speak. But I need to find the right person that I can trust and speak to. And that person needs to understand, like, I'm not sitting here judging someone because I'm telling you what I'm feeling. I need to process how I feel about what's going on and the people I do surround myself with. And my sister is a perfect example of this. When I come to her and I'm like, this person pissed me off. Can we talk about why? Because I know it has to do with me. I'm not stupid. She's like, okay. And then we just like dig right into it. Well, what is it? And because she has seen the ugliest side of me, I have no problem showing her all of me. Right. And she's that trusted person that I can go to and be like, okay, so this person's pissing me off. And she's like, ooh, and she usually gets like this little like, okay, what are we going to get into today? And so, because every time for me, life isn't happening to me, it's happening for me, right? Every challenge is an opportunity for me to grow and become a better person, a better version of myself. So if these things are going to come up, no, I'm not going to just shut my brain off and tell it to shut up. I need to communicate. I need to talk to my sister or to I have 3 amazing humans in my life. My sister is one of those. And I go to those 3 people because those 3 people have very different opinions and help me see so many different angles. And so I'll vent to them. I'll talk to them. And yeah, I'll even spew, you know what? I got some judgment on this person. And then they're like, ooh, what's the judgment on yourself then? Right? Because it's always coming back to you. And I'm aware of that. So if I'm spewing judgment at someone else, some people may not even hear it, but I know when I'm saying it, like when I talk to my sister and I'm saying, this is how she did it, this is da-da-da, I know I'm talking about myself. So my sister never sits and goes, do you hear yourself judging someone? She literally is like, okay, and you judged yourself because you've been there before and you've done it. So tell me about a time that you've done it so that we can dig into that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, that is some real deep stuff. And I think I think a lot of people are going to hear that and they're either going to have one of 2 reactions. It's probably going to be like, ouch, not doing that. Or, that sounds intriguing. That sounds like it rings a bell. I'm going to try it. Right? And so if they've already started taking those steps, that would help the cold laser therapy that much better, correct?
Yes. So The way that addiction actually works has to do with endorphins in your brain. So this is the part where we're going to talk about how laser actually works for you. So the core of everything we do, I can get anybody sober, but I can't stop you from relapsing, because if you do not do the work that we just talked about, you will never actually get sober.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay, because you'll stay sober for years on end, but you'll be dry drunking the whole time. You'll still hurt people. You'll still do all these things. So we need to do the work in order to stay clean and sober, because you need to have that moment of, oh my God, I want to drink. And then ask yourself, okay, so what am I trying to avoid? And if you know yourself well enough, you can dig into that. So the way that addiction itself works and the substances work is each substance produces a different reaction in your brain of different levels of different endorphins. So we have like the bliss molecule, and we have serotonin, and we have dopamine, and we have all these endorphins in our brain. Number one being dopamine, because it is an immediate gratification. It's your reward center. All of these things just make you feel so good. When they crash, you feel so bad.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is, typically the first time someone uses cocaine, your endorphins spike so high, you will never, ever hit that high ever again. And they hit so high. And then, for example, say you did that for a weekend, and I'm sure everybody that's listened, I've never done cocaine, but I know people that are listening will say, yeah, I remember the next day. I've had so many people say to me, the next day, I just want to be dead. I don't know why I'm here. Literally, my brain is going, why are you even here? You're a waste of skin. You feel like crap. Like, you talk shit to yourself. That is your endorphins in your brain crashing. They're going way below normal because you have over-released them, right? Because your brain doesn't make them like that on a regular basis. You had to stimulate that with some substance. Mm-hmm. It forces you to raise and then to crash so hard. And the crash, your brain needs time to recover. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's where most people will be like hair of the dog. So another line the next day, another drink of beer the next day, another whatever the next day, because that way you never have to hit that crash. But guess what? You do that the next day. The day after that's going to hit twice as hard. So you better be prepared to hit harder. I would say that the majority of people I know say that that's exactly how it started for them, right? It was the crash that made them use again, which then kept the use going. It perpetuated them. So in that, there is this chemical imbalance. And if any long-term use, whether it is a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10, 15, doesn't matter. You are changing the chemical and physiological makeup of your brain.
Yep.
And then to recover from that will take you a minimum of 1 year. So my problem with rehabs is that what we're doing is we get people. So, and I'm not saying that rehabs are not good, so please do not take that way. I think rehabs are the best. I think we need to change some things within rehab.
Yep.
We need to incorporate laser therapy into rehab. Let's just agree here. Because what happens is you detox people, right? 7 days later, their body has detoxed and their brain has detoxed. And they think that they're around a normal level. But that normal level that you think you're at is probably right around the same level as when you started using in the first place. You feel sad, you feel depressed, you don't feel like yourself, and that's why you started. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to sit down with you and be like, okay, it is time for us to deal with your trauma. Your answer's like, nope. I'd rather use, because you're already depressed. Your chemicals are not balanced. You do not feel okay. Screw life, I'm out, right? Like, I'd rather just drink than have to deal with these things. So this is where a lot of people go into rehab, and you'll see them sit in the circles like this because they don't want to talk about it because their brain chemicals can't handle it. If you've ever been depressed, it literally feels like looking through this and you're trying to find your way and you can't, and it's so foggy and I can't see you. And I took antidepressants and suddenly I could see. Mm-hmm. Now, antidepressants don't fix the endorphins properly either. Nope. They just encourage serotonin release in your brain. Some people it works for, some people it doesn't. I'm going to say it's very similar in what I do. However, I have 98% success rates. So we'll say more often than not it works. But what happens with that is you're now being forced to deal with your trauma. And this is why most people can't make their 1 year, is because your brain has not recovered. It takes 14 to 18 months for your brain to go to it. What it's going to be is its new level of normal. Okay. And yet you're supposed to deal with your trauma. You're supposed to start dealing with the reasons that you used in the first place. And if you don't, you will relapse.
Yeah.
But also, how am I supposed to not relapse when you're making me dig into the reason that I started in the first place and I'm depressed?
Yeah.
And I don't feel like myself and I'm sad and I'm all the things. Laser Quit uses your body's energies to go ahead and increase all of the endorphins in your brain at the same time. So you're not going to get the sensation of high. You're not going to get the sensation of drunk. It's all being released at the same time. So you might feel euphoric. You might feel lovely. You might feel wonderful. Now, over the next week, especially of long-term users, your body is going, no, we don't know what that is. We're gonna bring you back down. You don't know what that is. You don't know what that is. So we treat you again, because that shows your body, no, we want to be here. And your body can make it, and it does it. And then it's like, okay, I like this. And then we start to train your brain on how to stay at that height. So we often will treat people repeatedly. I'm not giving away all my secrets, but I will tell you, we treat you repeatedly over the next year, changing protocols as we go based on how our conversations are. You know, so if you're like, no, I don't feel like using it all, great, I'm going to move you into a different program. No, I don't feel like that at all, great, I'm going to move you into this program. So it really depends, right? Like, we have to be in close contact discussing how you're feeling in order to put you in different programs. If you're like, no, I want to use, I'm going to keep you in our heavy addictions program for a little bit longer. Every person is different. Yep. But it's releasing all of these endorphins and teaching your brain how to sit where it, as close to where it used to sit as possible. Okay. I can't promise you that we're going to get you back to where you were when you were young. Your body will make the decision. That being said, we do have 98% success rates. We have people who don't relapse ever. Don't get me wrong. We also have people who relapse, and it's typically because they did not come back in their scheduled timelines. Because their brains then crashed, and then they just went straight into using. So there is a process of heading into relapse, but our treatments used properly prevent you from relapse, because you don't need to get that dopamine hit because you're getting it. You already have it. Your brain is continuing to keep you where it needs to keep you. If you use it all, just like I did, take one puff, spiked my dopamine, and then I crashed my dopamine. Well, now I need more. Yeah. Right? And that's why smokers, our dopamine isn't being spiked like someone who drinks or does cocaine or anything. It's just being given a hump. But then when it comes down, it goes way below normal. And that's when people start smoking. They have their second cigarette. It's about an hour. And that's why we're doing it, is because as our dopamine starts to crash, we're like, nope, there's my dopamine again. Right? And that's why people are like, I don't know how to deal with stress. Well, we need new coping mechanisms, because smoking is not your answer. It's your habit, and it's right now killing you. And it's the way that you get your dopamine. Yep. So we also teach coping mechanisms, and we do life coaching. We do all these things because you can't cure your addiction by stopping using. Nope. So that's the trick behind Laser Quit, is that we're using your body's energies to release the endorphins to get you where you need to be, so that you can use your brain again to move forward and function the way that you need to.
Ooh, man, I love every bit of that, because it literally is taking everything that I've learned through my entire journey, and it's like, hey, where were you whenever I needed to get sober too? You know, and that's the thing, is that, like, I'm in some place that I'm in the DFW area. Is there one over here?
Where is DFW?
Texas.
Texas. Okay. No, we don't have any in the States yet. Okay. But we are working on that, and I'll just do a little intro here into the fact that we are offering partnerships. So people that do have any kind of business, I am not allowed to be more than 20% of your gross sales for the first year or two, I think it is, based on certain laws. But what we do is we basically train you how to do the services that we do. You get your laser, and then you offer the services. Now, the coolest part is minimal startup cost. And I only take a commission of the money you make. Wow. So if you're looking to partner with someone, and you guys are looking for more to add to the business, particularly wellness businesses, if you're looking to add more to your repertoire, give me a shout, because it is a way to add not only to yourself, because it wasn't about money, and it hasn't been about money, but it's great. I got to start taking my kids on trips and things like that. But the way that people react to you when you have helped them when nothing else could, that's the game changer. It is the most rewarding thing I have ever done in my life. And that's why I've started offering these partnerships, because I can't have hundreds and hundreds of staff working for me. I'm way too busy for that because I have my own multiple businesses. I have 7 locations or 10 locations of one, and I have another, excuse me, another bookkeeping business. And like, I have businesses and I do multiple things. I have a life coaching business. So I don't have time to have hundreds of staff under me. Do have time to have a bunch of partners who want to help me improve the world, and they're doing it themselves.
Ooh, that is way too cool. I mean, I think you just sold a partnership. Like, I'm going to have to really think about it and not get told that I can't afford it either way. But that's the thing too, right? Is that it's one of those things that is so beautiful to see emerging like it is, because I can tell that it's going to explode. And it is going to help so many people. And like, this is just really cool, because you're not just sitting there saying, once you're done, just go to your 12-step meetings, go do this or do that, you'll be fine. No, you're saying get to the root, get it out, and continually address it so that it doesn't regrow. That is beautiful.
Yeah. And not just that, but like, I have people who have been clean for, 5 years. And then they call me and they're like, I have the strongest desire to use right now. I'm like, have you used? And they're like, no. And I'm like, get in here, because there's a way for me to get you to stay sober. You haven't used. I don't want to have to start your program all over. If you have used, we have to start your program all over. If you have not used, but there's that desire, we can get rid of it. So this is like also an option for ongoing, not just in the coaching side of it, but also in the treatment side of it. And yeah, sometimes we just need that boost in our brain to be able to even, have that conversation with yourself. When we're crashing, the last thing you want to look at is how ugly you are, right? And we are all ugly in some ways. So we need to stop, take a break before we start looking at ourselves. And sometimes the treatment is what you need, because then you can have clarity on, oh yeah, I was acting badly. Why was I acting badly, and how can I act better?
Yeah. I love that. And so you do coaching, you do a little bit of everything that helps people with addiction. This is so cool. And through helping addiction, you just make them a better person. So it makes a better world. This is like a win-win-win. Never heard of that.
Part about it is the fact that you're helping you. I have a tool, and I'm going to help you with those tools. What you do with those tools is completely in your hands. How you transform, you can't be like, you changed my life. No, I did not, but I did give you some tools that would help you change your life.
I love that. Where can people find you real quick? I forgot.
So the best places is going to be Instagram. You can find me at laserquit.therapy. Now, laser is always spelled with an S, you guys. Laserquit.therapy, or Sober Coach Mare on Instagram. You can find both of us there. Our website is laserquittherapy.ca or laserquit.net, and that will redirect you.
Oh, wow. So they can find you a lot of places, and that's good, because I have a feeling that they're going to need all the channels that they can get to reach you. But the thing is, we also have a game show portion ready. Do you think you're ready to play?
I'm ready.
All right, so we're going to kick off a new game, everyone. This one is called Smoke Signals. So I'm going to ask Meridee some questions about smoking or quitting related facts whenever it comes to addiction and stuff. So she needs to answer true, false, or it's complicated, and give a little bit of an explanation why. So Meridee, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So first up, nicotine leaves the body within 72 hours.
True.
True. Awesome. And number 2, once you've been addicted, you'll always be addicted.
True.
True? Aw, bummer. Number 3, smoking helps reduce anxiety.
False.
False?
False.
Oh.
I want to say it's complicated.
Yeah.
Because your idea is that it is reducing your anxiety, but it's actually causing more anxiety and more stress in your life, because you're worrying about when you're going to get your next cigarette, where the money's going to come from, and all these other pieces. But that's where the complicated side comes from. The dopamine release makes you feel like you're less anxious.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Really good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
All right. Number 4, right? Yeah. Number 4, you have to want to quit for it to work.
The treatment itself, no, again, it's slightly complicated. The treatment itself, no, you don't necessarily have to want to, but also, yeah, because otherwise you won't stick to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. All right. And then number 5, weight gain is unavoidable whenever you quit addictions.
False, 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 false.
False. I'm glad to hear that.
False.
Number 6. If your parents smoked or used other substances, you'll be more likely to become addicted as well.
Okay, so I'm going to say it's complicated.
Mm-hmm.
When someone is born into an addiction of any kind, you are 50-50 on whether you're going to choose that addiction. You'll see if there's 2 siblings, one will often become an alcoholic if they have an alcoholic father, while the other goes the complete opposite direction. But children learn what they live. So you are more likely to end up down that road, and your chances are significantly higher if that's what you were raised with.
Ooh, man, I love that. And that could totally be part of the next conversation too. So let's see. Number 7, right? Number 8. Thank you. Number 8. Laser therapy is just a placebo effect.
Balls.
I was glad you're going to say that. And then number 9. Cravings only last a few minutes, but if you let them pass.
Yes. True.
Awesome. Relapsing means you failed.
False.
False. Good.
Failure is feedback anyways.
Oh. So with that part, let's bust it open just a little bit. Do you believe that it is a failure or something else entirely?
I think that it is, we decided we didn't want to feel something, so we were running from it, so we picked up a substance again, and then when we're ready to get our shit together, we will do so.
So it is not a failure, it is simply just repeating a pattern, right? Kind of, sort of? Okay.
If you consider it a failure, you're never going to try again.
Ooh. Some people really needed to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So, Meridee, you have played our game Smoke Signals. And because of that, Retrieving Sanity has decided that we are going to give you the honorary title of the Laser Focused Liberator, because it takes true focus to break free from addiction and help others for good.
Touche, I like it. I'll take it.
All right. Well, I am super excited to have just had this amazing conversation with you, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Last question, Meridee, the name of this podcast is Retrieving Sanity, and we explore how all facets of living life impact our mental health. Looking at the incredible motley adventures of your life, what does retrieving sanity mean to you today, and what's one practice or perspective you believe is crucial for anyone on that journey?
Retrieving sanity to me is like going back to before we had all of these ideas and concepts put into our heads and told that that was what normalcy is. That to me is the most powerful. And then I will say that the secondary part of that is going to be meditation and just getting quiet with myself. That has been the biggest way, as well as communicating with other people, but sitting with myself is how I really truly find what I need.
Oh, I love that. Thank you very much for that, Meridee. This has been an amazing conversation, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So we're going to set it up as soon as we can. And then, I mean, you just left the audience with something spectacular. Do you have anything else you feel like you want to give shout outs for or anything like that?
The only thing that I usually say is just those who feel like there's no hope left, there is always hope. You just need to find your way there.
I love that. All right. Well, with that being said, I'm going to look for my hope, because sometimes it does seem like it's a little dark, but there's always a little glimmer of light somewhere, right? And with that, we're going to end this episode here so that everyone, y'all can figure out what traumas it is that you need to address to really get rid of your shopping addiction, your cigarette addiction, your alcohol addiction, whatever it may be. But if you have any questions, go ahead and go on over to laserquittherapy.ca, if I'm correct. And
yes.
Laser with an S, not Z.
Yes. Yes.
So,
yeah.
But find her, speak to her, and she's going to help you, show you the way out of addiction. So, Meridee, thank you very much for being on the show. And everyone out there, thank you for listening to Retrieving Sanity on WDJY 99.1 FM And as always, much love to yourself, to others, but love yourself first, because you can't love others well enough if you can't love yourself. So, just have a good rest of your day whenever it is that you've been listening to this, and we will see you next week. So, Schlan.